Hello. Roughly a year ago, I made the decision to try making my very niche hobby YouTube channel into a full-time job, and it has been an amazing experience. But it's also been pretty stressful, financially perilous, and at times, quite frankly, terrifying. So, has YouTube become the dream job that I hoped for? Are the ups and downs too much to handle? And where do I go from here? Well, it's complicated. I'm Jordan, this is Jordan Sorcery, and today I'm reflecting on my first full-time year on YouTube. If you're not familiar with my channel, I'm Jordan, and I make videos about the development history of my favourite games. Not exclusively, but mostly about Games Workshop games, and I have been lucky enough to interview many of the people who made those games as well. Since launching the channel as a hobby in around November 2022, I have published about 200 videos here on the channel, and I'm going to talk today about how I came to be making YouTube videos full-time, whether I regret that decision, and what's going to happen next with the channel. But before we go into the specifics of that, I just want to make one thing clear, and that is that I fully appreciate that this, for many, myself included, is a dream job. To be able to immerse myself in the history of the games that I love, and to speak to the people who made them, and to tell the stories of these games to an engaged and interested community of like-minded folks like yourselves, is truly amazing. I am fantastically grateful that I have had the chance to do this work at all, that there has been anybody who has enjoyed it, and even more than that, enough people who have enjoyed it that they've actually wanted to support me to make more. It's really genuinely humbling, and I cannot get over it. So thank you to everybody who has enjoyed anything here on the channel, left any comment, left a like, subscribed, supported me on Patreon. All of that has been absolutely amazing, and I really appreciate it. I will forever cherish the memories that I have made doing this work, and I just cannot get over the awesome friends and colleagues and community that have enriched my journey so far. Whatever happens in the future, that has been an incredible experience, and like I say, I am just so grateful for all of it. But before we get into that future, I just want to take a moment to reflect on how I came to be making YouTube videos at all. Now, I'm not going to get into all of the gruesome details, but as a little bit of context, I used to work in a corporate setting, a quite traditional organization, doing things like data analytics and science and visualization, and I actually really enjoyed that work. Unfortunately, things at that company took a deeply unpleasant and toxic turn, and I started to get into quite a dark and stressed out place. It was really not a comfortable environment to work in anymore for me. And as a result of that, we all decided that I would be better off walking away. As a creative outlet during those dark final months at that job, I had created this YouTube channel, sort of a place to try and encourage me to tell stories again and to connect in new ways with the hobby that I loved. And it was a really good way of doing that. And it really did help me get back into so many aspects of the hobby that had sort of atrophied over time. It was a fantastic opportunity to really immerse myself in the hobby in a way that I hadn't been doing for a little bit of time because my mind was just completely occupied by all of these other darker situations. Hello? I hadn't done anything with storytelling or with video since I studied film at university, and that was quite a ways back. But I really found something special in just working with cameras, working with editing, and telling the stories of the games that I loved. So I really enjoyed doing it, and I wanted to see if I could do some more of it. And perhaps this is where I become a naively optimistic fool, but I thought that given I was walking away from that old job with a small nest egg, there might be a little opportunity for me to invest in myself and do something completely different, to try and turn this hobby into a full-time job. Knowing that I only had a limited window of opportunity, roughly a year, give or less, to try and make this into something more significant. And having come from a traditional corporate role, I wanted to approach this like it was a serious, almost business startup kind of thing. So I wanted to treat this job that I wanted as if it was a job I already had. And that is how I started my work. In a typical week, I will release a 60-second short, a full-length video that might be anything from 10 to 30 minutes on average, and a full interview as well. And I have to do all of the prep and promotion for all of that stuff. Now, that is quite a lot of work, and I'm not complaining about that. It's actually all super interesting. Every different component has its own real joys and real exciting sort of elements that make it fun to do. So it's not about complaining about that, but I think one aspect of doing YouTube and content creation as a full-time job that I'd probably not really appreciated on the way in was just how much of an actual full-time job it is. It requires a huge investment of time and mental bandwidth in order to produce all of that content and try and keep it at a level of quality that I can be proud of. Beyond the researching and the writing and the filming and the editing and promoting, there's also managing the various social media platforms and a Discord and Patreon and everything else that goes with it, the website, the admin and logistics of trying to organize interviews and set that kind of stuff up, and all of the prep that goes into creating questions and sort of building and maintaining a positive, engaged community. Again, this is not me saying that this is a harder job than any other or that it's a really difficult one, because all of that is really interesting and fun. And spending time doing all of those things is super, super rewarding. But there is just a lot of moving parts, I guess, is the sort of moral of that point. And it can be quite overwhelming at times to try and cut through all of that and keep things moving forward, especially if you want to grow the channel and have the kind of success that will make this into a sustainable job. And that question of sustainability is sort of the sticky wicket of YouTube content creation, because the way in which you can make money from doing this work are quite diffuse and not always as rewarding as one might hope. I mean, let's take a look at a recent video that I released, my history of Warhammer 40,000 Rogue Trader. This probably took, in total, about a month to put together when you count everything up. Background research, interviews, and writing were mostly done in parallel to making other videos. And then there was a solid push for the last week to record, source images, and edit the final video itself. Another similar video that probably took something around the same amount of time was my history of the 80s commissioned but unpublished Warhammer comic book. Much like for Rogue Trader, I was able to reach out to the creators and find out more information about what might have happened with this lost book. So both of those videos probably took roughly a month total time to put together. A lot of that was actually in parallel with other stuff that was happening, not complete, dedicated, full months of work. It was only the final week or few days when I would have been working on it 24/7 to try and get it finished. And that is because I am normally making the video that you see on a Friday the week of release, or at least bringing together all of the parts, doing the final filming, the final edits in the days before they are released, because this self-imposed once-a-week deadline is quite tough to keep up with. But I've got no one to blame but myself for that. But the intention is to try and release regular videos of sufficient quality that people want to watch them, because that's how you sort of build a presence and build up your subscribers and get YouTube to know that you are reliable. Similarly, advertisers and sponsors will want to know that you're reliable and that you produce regular videos, and that those regular videos get regular average numbers of views. That is how they know that they can rely on you to be a good advertising space. Unfortunately, the Rogue Trader video has probably scored about 20,000 views in a couple of weeks, which for my channel is very good. The Warhammer Comics video, even though it came out in January, has only scored about 3,000 views. So the same amount of work has yielded very, very different results. And of course, that's probably to be expected given those different topics, but it can be quite tricky to try and work out what's going to hit and what's not. So I'm working full-time on the channel. I'm releasing 3 pieces of content every single week. what does that mean in terms of reward? YouTube advertising, as I understand it, is directly related to your number of viewers and the retention of those viewers. How long do they actually watch your videos for? The longer they watch, and the more of them there are, the more rewarding a video will be in a monetary sense. Of course, there are lots of other ways that viewers can engage with videos, like likes and comments. Those don't have a direct monetary impact, but they do help tell the algorithm that people like and are engaging with this piece of content, and therefore the algorithm pushes it further afield and exposes that video to more people, which hopefully will get more people to watch them and therefore create more viewers, and those retained viewers will watch more of it, hopefully. All of this is in service of selling adverts to viewers. Whether you're on premium or not, you're getting served adverts that are ticking up and scoring points or pennies, I suppose, fractions of pennies for the actual content creator. And that is how YouTube ad revenue is actually generated. Whether or not people want to advertise on your videos is based on how many people engage with and watch them, and then you get a certain amount of the ad revenue that YouTube can sell. Now, there are a load of factors that influence how much an advertiser is willing to pay YouTube to advertise in your video. For me, it's not an awful lot because obviously I don't have a massive viewership and I don't generate massive average views per video. I think I probably get somewhere around, well, between 2,000 and 4,000 average views on any given video. And that tends to generate something between 10 and maybe £30 in terms of YouTube ad revenue over a year, say. That Warhammer Comics video has had 3,000 views, roughly, so has generated about £13, whilst that 20,000 view 40k video has generated about £170, which means that the actual amount of time and effort that's invested in the video isn't always directly comparable with the amount of monetary reward that will come from YouTube's advertising revenue. And that, of course, is why content creators will explore lots of different revenue streams. I'm sure you're all familiar with them. They might be things like sponsorships or integrated adverts, complete promotional advertising videos that are dedicated to a specific topic that have been paid for, or it could be things like merchandise and creating digital courses and selling digital products. All of that is to help supplement the income that comes from your YouTube ad revenue, because the YouTube ad revenue isn't huge amounts. For me, these things have been quite inconsistent. Whilst I do have an Element Games affiliate link, which you can see in the description below, please feel free to use that when you buy your hobby supplies, it's not been a sort of consistent number of offers and advertising people coming to me and saying we want to do adverts in your videos. There have been a couple here and there, and I've been happy to do them if I believe in those products or have some sort of alignment, but it's very inconsistent and is not really reliable because I've not currently got the sort of subscriber base and the average views per video, and I probably am not doing timely enough content to really lend itself entirely to that sort of thing. But where I have had consistent support, and I am truly incredibly grateful, is through things like Super Thanks here on YouTube, Ko-fi, and of course, Patreon. And Patreon has been an absolute lifeline for me and for many content creators, because it is a way to create a more sustainable, consistent community and revenue stream, for want of a better phrase, that will help ensure that I can keep things moving, because there is a reliable, regular amount of money that's coming in, and you can sort of see where you stand, see if people value your work and want to see more of it. Because I am truly grateful for that support on Patreon, I've got about 130, roughly, Patreon supporters at tiers between $1 and $10. I am hugely, hugely reliant on that income, essentially. That's the closest thing I've got to a regular salary. And because of that, I want to ensure that I'm giving as much as I can to my Patreon supporters. So I do regular updates, I do early access to my interviews, I try and have conversations and giveaways and things like that whenever I can, and I also provide monthly and weekly posts to tell people what I'm working on and how things are moving forward. honestly, I cannot stress enough just how, just really, I've said the word 1,000 times and I apologize, but it really is humbling, and it's powerfully sort of gratifying to know that there are folks out there who do enjoy this content, enjoy the work that I'm doing here enough to want to see more of it and try and financially secure that potential future. No one owes me anything. You don't have to support that way, and there's no financial requirement or obligation, and there cannot be. It just doesn't work that way. It very much has to be people seeing the value in the work and wanting to support it because they want to see more of it. And unfortunately, that's the sort of fundamental truth, is that if people don't get something from it and don't therefore want to invest in it, then it won't continue to exist. And that's, how these things go. That's totally, totally natural. So yes, no one owes me a living at all. But although I've not gone into specifics on all of the numbers, you may have noticed that there's not a huge income stream coming from the various sources here. Right now, this is not an awfully sustainable job. With the YouTube ad revenue and the Patreon, I'm probably bringing in about £700 a month, probably a little bit less, and that is for full-time work, 5 days a week, plus some stuff at weekends and in the evenings, as well as everything else to ensure that this thing runs as it does, and that's just not long-term sustainability. I can't afford to pay my rent, to pay my bills, and look after Martha and my other secret second cat. All of that takes money, and it's a cost of living crisis as well. So again, I know that not everybody can support financially, and that's fine. It just is one of those realities, is that this work today is not especially sustainable for me and for ensuring that I can continue to live my life, basically. So what does that mean for the future? Well, the good news is that there's still a little bit of time left. I think I've probably got around 6 months more of doing this work and continuing to invest myself in full time into Jordan Sorcery and creating content here on the channel. I really, really love doing this, and I really want to continue doing it as long as I can. So I want to make sure that this next 6 months are super exciting and full of really fun stuff, and hopefully it will continue to grow as it has done. It's been great. I don't want to, for a second, make it sound like I'm not proud of the work I've done and pleased with the success that the channel has seen so far, because I enormously am. But as a realist, I know I can't keep doing this in this way forever. So the next 6 months are going to be that proving ground where we find out, am I going to be able to continue making videos full-time on YouTube, or do I need to look at scaling back and getting a more traditional job once again? To aid all of that and to try and make things more successful over this final 6 months, well, hopefully not final, but next 6 months, I'm going to be making some content choices that are probably skewing a little bit more to the timely, or trying to find my angle onto more recent, more current stuff that will still add value and hopefully is still interesting and sort of valuable to people who enjoy the work that I do here on the channel, the way I approach stuff on the channel, but will potentially have a broader accessibility for more people. That doesn't mean I'm not going to make any more videos about really obscure or random 80s and 90s board games and role-playing games. They'll still be in the mix. I'm just not going to be able to spend as much time on those as I might have wanted to in the past. There'll probably be no 45-minute examinations of a long-dead role-playing game that didn't sell well at the time, like Dark Matter, just because I love it. I'm as much as I would love to, I'll get to stuff like that, hopefully in the future if I can. I'm just going to need to be a little bit more savvy, I think, is the point. I'm also going to be working on creating a merch boutique. This is going to be a limited time merchandise shop, I guess, online, that has a lot of really exciting stuff available. Now, I'm going to talk about this in more detail in a number of weeks or months, depending on how long it takes me to pull everything together. But I will say that I've been working with handcrafting artisans to create a range of handcrafted goods and products that are, I think, very in keeping with sort of Jordan Sorcery as a channel and an identity, and are quite different to anything you will have seen from other content creator merch stores, I think. I think it's fair to say that. So I'm very excited about this. Some really fun stuff that I'm very proud of, that I'm looking forward to sharing and talking more about in a future video. So keep your eyes open for that. Hopefully that will then also help to support this work, support the Jordan Sorcery. I don't want to use brand too much as a word because that seems a bit dark and grim, but essentially the channel and this work and this body of work is supported by things like that. And in terms of specific content that I'm working on, well, I'm going to be continuing with the series that I've already started. So I will be completing the Making of Warhammer Fantasy. We'll be looking at 8th edition and the end times. And I've now started my 40k Making of series, and I'll be continuing that through the Rogue Trader Supplements era and into 2nd and 3rd and potentially later editions as well. Plus, I'm going to be looking at the history of Age of Sigmar, and also delving into some classics like Blood Bowl and Warhammer Quest, and more esoteric topics like the origins of chaos and the origins of Warhammer magic. Plus, I will be looking at some non-Games Workshop games like the Fantasy Miniatures games, Moonstone and Hobgoblin, and not quite Games Workshop, but Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay, because I'm very excited about my history of that series of games, and that should be coming out in the next 6 months because that's how much time we've got left. You'll also hopefully see me on more live stream content in the coming months because I want to continue to engage with you out there in the community to talk and to do more stuff like research live streams where we literally work together to look into the history of something that I'm working on for a video, and we can chat about it and sort of throw questions out there and kind of discuss things live together. I think that will be really fun. And a few people have asked me about this. Yes, I'm going to be continuing the Marienburg Diaries, and I also want to do some live stream painting sessions, which will be excruciatingly painful for me, I've no doubt about it. But people watching me paint, you guys are really going to have a challenge with that one. And then there is a project that I am looking forward to so much. This is something that it's a story that I absolutely love and just a concept that I love as well. And because this year marks the 20th anniversary of the global summer campaign, The Storm of Chaos, for Warhammer Fantasy, I'm going to be investing a good amount of time in a complete retelling of that event. So that will be both a development history that I'm working on, a very traditional Jordan Sorcery history of The Storm of Chaos, but I'm also working on a multi-part series that is the full story and lore and fluff of the Storm of Chaos events. I cannot wait to share this with you. I've been really enjoying delving deeply into this lost, forgotten, alternative history. It's going to be, I think, really, really fun. That will be this summer, The Storm of Chaos on Jordan Sorcery. It's going to be fun. Listen, I am super passionate about this work. I find it to be just so rewarding in so many ways beyond the financial side of things. It has filled me with such joy to be able to spend my time investigating and talking to and just immersing myself in the games that I love and the people who made the games that I love, and it's been fantastic sharing that with you and building the community that has grown up around the channel. It has been an amazing experience. So even if this 6 months that's coming up now is the end of Jordan Sorcery and we can't do anything after that, I am so grateful to have had this opportunity and to try really have grasped it with both hands. I do not regret it at all. It's been awesome. And that mental health benefit that came from that hobby that I first started when I was in a bad place, it has blossomed into something that I just could not have imagined. I did not think for a second that I would get to 18,000 subscribers and to have 130 people supporting me on Patreon, and for there to be people in the comment section who enjoy this work and tell me about it and ask questions and just are engaged with the work that I'm doing in just a tangible way. That there are people out there who enjoy this stuff that I'm doing. What was a hobby and what has become something so much more to me. It's, yeah, I'm going to say it again. It's humbling and it's gratifying, and I'm very grateful. Truly, truly grateful that I've been able to do this. I want to keep doing it as long as I can. And that's why I also hope that this video doesn't come across as, I'm not complaining about the situation. I'm not trying to whine about it. As I say, nobody owes me this opportunity. It's very fulfilling work, and that is why it's a dream job, because not everybody gets that from their job, and you're not necessarily owed that, and no one owes me that. So that's why I work so hard at this, because I love it so much and I really want to do it. And to be honest, I think even if things don't work out over the next 6 months, I would be very surprised if there's not still some Jordan Sorcery content. Even if I have to get a traditional job, I can imagine still producing a video here and there, whether that's one a month or less frequently. I don't know, but I've grown to love this work so much that I don't think I will stop it, even if I have to stop it, if that makes sense. Just because I decided I wanted to do this job doesn't mean that I get to do it. You're the ones who get to decide who can do this work. And there is so much amazing content out there. And that is why I know that there's no guarantee in doing this kind of work, because it is tough competition. It's a tough job in that respect. So that is why I know that I have to earn the right to keep doing it. And that's why I work at it and try to do that and to earn that. And if you can support me in that, then that is amazing. If you want to go and check out my Patreon, there's a link down below. Like I say, there are many benefits to that, and I would absolutely love it if you could, but I totally appreciate not everybody is in a position to support in that way. So if you do enjoy my work and you can like and subscribe and to share my work, go and check out your favorite video from my back catalogue and share it with people. Tell people about Jordan Sorcery, because just helping to get the name out there and the channel out there is enormously helpful as well. That's what's very difficult, is trying to grow just the number of people who my content is put in front of and who have the opportunity to check it out. They might not like it, but if they do, that's amazing, and then hopefully it grows further and further, and that's just a huge part of this whole deal. But yeah, if it doesn't work out, then I will be sad about it, but I won't have any regrets about it, because I've given it my all and I've tried my best. And I will be filled with nothing but gratitude for everybody who has supported this work along the way. Everybody who has watched any videos, who has liked them, who has left a comment, who has subscribed and shared my videos, who has gifted a donation through Ko-fi or through YouTube or through Patreon, who has joined my Discord and engaged with me and talked to me about all of this cool stuff, who has gone onto Twitter and Instagram and all of the other social media platforms and followed me there and shared my work there as well. All of that has been just truly awesome. And I'm really grateful. And if I do go back into that corporate world, I will do so filled with the joy of having done this, and not the sort of darkness and the anxiety and the stress of where I was before, because this period has been truly joyful. It's been great. So it's been a fantastic 18 months. Well, it will have been a fantastic 18 months at the end of this year. And you can't ask for more than that, just to have so much fun doing something that you love. It's amazing. So thank you for that. And not for the last time, for the next 6 months at the very least. Thank you very, very much for watching. I'm Jordan, and this is Jordan Sorcery. Listen, I'm not kidding myself. I know the real reason you watch the channel is just to see what Martha's been up to.